Hello, my name is Cassidy Bayron, and I will be completing my presentation on the country of Greece. When identifying the eating style and food culture of the country, I found that mezzetes are typical in Greek meals. Mezzetes are a collection of small dishes usually eaten as appetizers. Mezzetes may be similar to hors d'oeuvres or tapas. The Greek diet at its core follows the Mediterranean diet, which can be seen in the pyramid picture to the right. The Mediterranean diet has an emphasis on fresh and seasonal ingredients like olive oil, grains, tomatoes, fruits, and other vegetables. While meat consumption is limited, it usually consists of fish and other seafood. The Greek eating pattern does not follow the typical routine of breakfast, lunch, and dinner. Rather, there's an emphasis on one big meal a day, and that is usually at lunchtime. Food and events involving food are often seen as social gatherings to unify generations, friends, and families and neighbors. The leading cause of death in Greece was found to be cardiovascular disease. According to WHO data, 251 deaths per 100,000 deaths can be accounted for and associated with cardiovascular disease. Females have higher rates of CVD compared to males. The following health issues and illnesses were COVID-19 and stroke. For the purposes of this presentation, I'll be using stroke as a secondary illness. The broad cause for the leading cause of deaths were labeled as non-communicable diseases and accounted for 77.1% of deaths. Connecting health and diet. The traditional Greek diet is associated with lowering the risk of CVD. However, dietary westernization has brought upon increases to see the prevalence of CVD. Increases also with obesity and hypertension and dyslipidemia have become risk factors for higher rates of strokes. The effects of globalization. As previously mentioned, westernization has impacted the dietary and lifestyle patterns in Greece. Westernization of dietary patterns includes increased consumption of processed and fast foods, a higher intake of saturated fast foods and sugars, a decreased adherence to traditional dietary patterns, and the increased presence of convenience culture. Along with globalization, trade liberalization, and global marketing campaigns for chain restaurants and fast foods have increased. With CVD, the effects of globalization have brought upon, as previously mentioned, lack of adherence to the Mediterranean diet and the shift from local produce to cheaper and more imported fast foods. Stroke follows a similar pattern to CVD. However, lifestyle effects like automation and lack of physical activity have increased the risk for obesity and diabetes, which in turn causes higher rates of strokes. As a public health professional, my opinion on Greece's health profile is that there are compounding factors that affect the economy and public health infrastructure, such as its ongoing financial crisis. The westernization of dietary and lifestyle patterns has also affected the public health of the country. For my suggestion, I recommend a dual policy and educational campaign. This dual suggestion includes subsidizing fresh produce for traditional foods like olive oil and other fresh fruits to become more affordable. I recommend also implementing national dietary guidelines that emphasize and promote a traditional Greek diet, especially in chain franchises and in stores. On the educational campaign, I recommend community-oriented events such as cooking classes that revive Greece's culinary history. Public campaigns in community-centered spaces like schools and workplaces can help educate people on the health benefits of the traditional diet. Here are the references I used for this presentation. Thank you.